So today we're going to visit the largest slot cave in Tennessee, and it's called Devil's Cave. It's in the Big South Fork, and it's not a place that is a secret to a lot of people who live around this area. A lot of people know where it's at and have been there, or if they haven't been there, they at least have heard of it. But still, it's pretty unique in the sense that it is one of, if not the most spectacular geological feature in the Big South Fork. And so many people that live even right here in the shadows of this park have no idea that it exists, or if they know that it exists, they've just not been there. So today we're going to go find it. What makes it even more unique is the fact that it is literally a stone's throw from a parking lot, literally a stone's throw from one of the most visited sites within the Big South Fork. It's not on any map, it's not on the beaten path as far as an actual official trail is concerned. Now there is a well-worn footpath that leads to it because so many people visit it, but the National Park Service does not have a trail that goes to it. From their perspective, it is not considered a destination for people to visit. So I'm not going to tell exactly how to get there. Some people might think that's silly because it is so easy to find. You just got to know, you can ask just about anybody and you can find it. But let somebody else tell you how to get here, because what I've found is that so oftentimes these places that are off the beaten path, people find out about them, and if they're culturally sensitive or you know, from a resource standpoint, if they're sensitive, what happens a lot of times is those resources get trampled and get torn up without even meaning to a lot of times. And this place is a perfect example of that. Up until a couple of years ago, there was a moonshine firebox in the back of this cave. For many years, the moonshiners made their whiskey in this cave. And a couple of summers ago, someone tore it down, probably without meaning to, but it was torn down. And once those things are lost, we don't get them back. So I'm not going to tell how to get there, but it's pretty easy to find. So let's go find it. So the trail that comes in here starts from the parking lot, goes down through the forest along a creek bed. It's a better trail in some places than it is in others, but for the most part, it's easy to follow all the way in. Then you come out onto the rock face, kind of onto the rim of the gorge, and the trail disappears because it's out on the bare rock and it's more difficult to follow. Now, it's easier these days to find where you go over the rock and down to the cave because people have tied a rope where it's easiest to get down. But the first time I tried to find it years ago, that rope was not there. I actually missed the spot where I was supposed to go over, wound up on top of the cave, found a rock shelter where some looters had been. And so I'm gonna go back there first and try to find that and see if there are evidence from years ago, their rake, their lantern, the tools that they had that they left behind, see if those things are still there, and then we'll go find the cave. Here's a rubber hose that has been used for who knows what. A lot of trash. Let's see what's on back in here. That looks like niter. Of course, back in the day, niter mining was actually the first industry in the Big South Fork. And it's a key component in gunpowder. And so it was actually commercially mined in some areas, such as around Twin Arches. But the farmers, the subsistence farmers, the folks who lived in this country would also mine it for their own uses. So this is Devil's Cave from on top. This is one of the skylights that runs almost the length of the cave, really. And so this is called a slot cave because really what it is, more than anything else, is a slot canyon. You don't really usually think of slot canyons in the eastern United States. Slot canyons are usually found in the west. The largest concentration of them in the world, in fact, are found in southern Utah and northern Arizona, which is fitting because the Big South Fork is often referred to as Utah with trees because the geology is so similar in some regards. So that's what this is. You can't tell it from here, but that is a long, long way down. Now there are some folks who get in the cave by rappelling from on top just for the added adventure. I'm not stupid, so I'm not one of those people. And this is the opening to Devil's Cave again from on top. And once again, the video does not do it justice, but that is a long way down. And that is a lot of rock. All right, so now it's time to get off this rock and go to the cave. So there it is. That is Devil's Cave. You really cannot get a feel for just how big this thing is unless you are seeing it for yourself in person. If you got the right equipment and you got some patience, you can get some still photos in here that are magnificent. There are some great ones that are floating around on the internet. I don't really have the equipment, to be honest, and I definitely do not have the patience. But as far as video, it is so dark in here that it's just hard to accomplish much in the way of video. So you can see just how massive this is. I have no idea where the name Devil's Cave came from, but it's not hard to envision because it is spooky. It's spooky right now with the light, with full daylight that is coming in through the cracks at the top. When it starts to get late evening and the sun starts to set, this place really, really gets creepy. You can hear strange noises. You can hear water, because there's a stream that flows through here. It's dry now, but at times there's a lot of water coming through here, and that makes some really, really strange noises echoing off the walls. So the first time I came in, I thought this was it. I thought this was the back of the cave. I was wrong. It's just where things get a little bit tight. And again, it looks like it's the back, right? Again, wrong. It's just another ascent up the rock face through a tight crack. And it keeps going, but we're getting close to the back now. There is absolutely no light back in here, so it's impossible to see anything. We don't have many caves in the Big South Fork, and of course, when most people think of caves, they think of where you go deep in the earth with the stalagmite formations and that sort of thing. But by definition, if you want to get technical, a cave is anything that is deeper than it is wide. So when you think about it by that definition, we actually have quite a few caves in the Big South Fork. Most of them obviously are small, but this one is definitely an exception. And like I say, you really cannot get a feel for just how incredible this is unless you come and you see it for yourself. It is very, very deep. Someone's actually done a good job making this look like Indian drawing. Obviously that's not Indian paintings, okay? I'm not an idiot. But not bad. And this is where they would make moonshine for a lot of years. Some of the old timers, I think it's some of the Miller family has talked about the moonshine operations that went on in this cave. Of course, when there's a lot of rain falling, there's a really good water source that's coming in right here. See the water puddle on the floor. And right here is what remains of the old firebox. And this was standing until a couple of summers ago. And someone was careless enough to come in and tear it down. So not much remains now. But that is where the actual steel would sit, right on top of those rocks. So you can't really tell in the dark, but I'm up on a ledge, pretty good ways above the actual floor of the cave. And it's actually through this crack that we were walking a minute ago. It gets pretty tight in there. All right, so that's it. That's Devil's Cave. Most people who never get off the path would never believe that something like this exists in the Big South Fork, especially people who live here in this area and really just have no idea what exists in their own backyard. Pretty incredible.